Welcome back to the Global Ledger. I'm Justin. When people hear that a country has dollarized, the reaction is usually emotional. It sounds like surrender, weakness, or failure. Giving up your own currency feels like giving up control. But countries don't dollarize because they misunderstand sovereignty. They dollarize because they understand constraints. Today's episode is about why some countries voluntarily abandon monetary independence and why, in many cases, it's not a loss of sovereignty, but a trade-off. Let's get into it. What does dollarization really mean? Dollarization doesn't always mean the same thing. At its core, however, it means using a foreign currency as a unit of account, a medium of exchange, or a store value. Some countries dollarize officially. Others do it informally, and many do it, partially. But the motivation is always the same, and that's stability. The problem with domestic currency, to understand dollarization, you have to understand what money must do. A domestic currency must hold value over time, function during stress, and be trusted by households and firms. When it fails at those tasks, people look for alternatives. And when inflation, devaluation, or financial instability persists long enough, trust migrates. Trust does not wait for reform. So let me repeat that. When it fails at those tasks, people look for alternatives. That's a really important thing. Trust migrates. Trust does not wait for reform. So why is it that policy control in these cases isn't always an advantage? Monetary sovereignty sounds powerful. In practice, it comes with costs, though. Maintaining an independent currency requires credible institutions, deep financial markets, disciplined fiscal policy, and the ability to absorb shocks. Without those foundations, monetary flexibility becomes volatility. Policy discretion turns into instability. And at that point, sovereignty really starts to become a liability. And this is why, on our next point in this discussion, why the dollars fill the void. So when trust in domestic money erodes, people don't choose randomly. They choose a currency that is widely accepted, has deep financial markets, holds value under stress, and is easy to transact with. The dollar fits those requirements better than almost any alternative. Not because it's perfect, but because it's usable and trusted. Dollarization could be seen as a constraint, not a cure. Dollarization doesn't solve economic problems. It removes one tool. By giving up monetary policy, countries eliminate inflation through money creation, remove currency mismatch risk, and anchor expectations externally. But they also lose lender of last resort powers, exchange rate adjustment, and policy flexibility. Dollarization trades discretion for discipline. Dollarization trades discretion for discipline. Why do some countries choose it anyway? So for countries with chronic inflation, unstable banking systems, or weak credibility, the loss of flexibility is often outweighed by lower inflation, improved capital access, and restored trust. Dollarization doesn't make a country richer, it makes instability harder. That alone can really be transformative. And all this connects up to the global dollar system, especially as it relates to Arc 7 in our series. From reserve currencies to energy pricing to trade finance to cross-border banking, the dollar system exists outside national borders. Dollarization is not opting into U.S. policy. It's opting into global monetary infrastructure, a system that already prices trade, settles contracts, finances balance sheets, and absorbs shocks. Countries dollarize because the system is already there. And this brings us to the next topic of why dollarization is harder than it sounds. This explains why, why de-dollarization, is often overstated. You can change laws. You can promote alternatives. You can settle bilateral trade differently. But replacing trust, liquidity, collateral depth, and crisis performance takes decades. Dollarization isn't ideological. It's really just practical. It's been accepted. It's grown. It's very natural in its growth. Dollarization is not about giving up sovereignty. It's about choosing which constraints matter more. Okay? For some countries, the ability to print money is less valuable than the ability to trust money. Dollarization is the moment when stability becomes more important than control. And in that decision, rational or painful, tells you everything about how the global dollar system really works. I want to thank you for listening to episode 65 of the Global Ledger. We talked about sovereignty and a country's giving up monetary sovereignty, dollarization. In the next episode, we're going to shift into capital controls because this is extremely important when tying in the global dollar system applied, NARC 7, but also about when countries break the rules. Once again, I'm Justin, and thanks for being here.